there are many amazing people that have spoken to Demore, and I would really urge you to watch this because what they have in that is footage and what they claim to be is evidence. So I think it's really important when you're looking at the whole picture that you do definitely look into that. So phase 5 and 6 is the court battles. During summer 2025, Perez's legal team sought dismissals, sanctions, and restraining orders against Demore's supporters. The Hadleys countered with body cam footage and challenged the authenticity of surveillance evidence. By August 2025, key rulings favoured the Hadleys. Contempt motions were denied, restraining orders were withdrawn, sanction requests were widely criticised. Okay, so what comes next in phase 7 is looking ahead into 2026. Now, this is where it all, I would love to be proved wrong because you've heard me say many times, I don't believe in the justice system. I don't have faith in it. I think it has absolutely failed women and children around the globe for many, many, many years. I feel it has also, it's not an equal playing field, in my opinion. I think if you have money, power, and influence, you know, Ghislaine Maxwell, then it's much easier to navigate these uncharted waters versus someone like Demore Hadley, who I have no idea how she will be paying for everything that, you know, is likely becoming very costly. But what I think is interesting is in 2026, we will hopefully find out, will the court admit the body cam footage? Will the sanctions be dismissed outright? And will discovery of anything else come to light? Because it's hard with Demore gagged. We don't know. We know what's in the docket. And I would say to follow, there is a Demore docket on X, the same people, I believe, that set up the Diddy docket going through the whole case. An amazing, amazing X account. But this is the big picture here. Can wealth and connections be used to silence or institutionalize individuals in family disputes? How reliable is evidence in an age of AI and manipulated recordings? And can ordinary citizens challenge such power in court? It's a heavy story, and for me, it's very chilling. You know, I've said that on this live stream. Demore has also been supported by Jaguar Wright, who did an incredible 4-part series with her. Now, if you follow Jaguar Wright, I really love her. You know, she's not a fan of Sean Carter. And so she spoke to Demore and they did an incredible series together. Now, also, Nicki Minaj has come out fiercely supporting Demore. And I think this is really interesting because the mainstream press have kind of made Nicki Minaj out to be a little bit mad. She's lashing out. She's doing this. I'm like, I don't really think she's lashing out. I just think she's going against the narrative, in my opinion. But what I would say as a former celebrity publicist, clients speak out when they absolutely have to. I don't believe that Nicki Minaj would be as opinionated as she has been on this matter if somehow it didn't relate to her. Now, she has also made allegations against Desiree Perez and Jay-Z about money being owed to her from Tidal. She has really helped to put the Demore Hadley story on the map. So again, I would urge you to look into that. And again, the reason I didn't bring any screenshots to put up is I don't want to do anything to risk this video coming down. I'm going to open it up to you guys. I haven't been able to look at the questions, but to see if anyone's got any questions, um, put them in the box, and I'll come back to them on it. I'm just so happy to be able to use my experience and share my personal views with you on Damore Hadley, because I've previously been asked on Shaun's channel, what makes a whistleblower credible? Who should we kind of look out for? And I would say, if I was going to describe Damore Hadley to people that don't know, I would say she's incredibly smart and intelligent and hardworking. When you hear her speak in these interviews, she's a grafter. There's no ego there. She could have gone down the fame route. From what I've seen, that's just not what she's interested in at all. There's no, and I always say this, but there's no cash app, there's no monetization of her alleged trauma. And for me, I have absolutely no reason to question anything she has said. In my opinion, I believe Damore Hadley 100%, but that's just my opinion, and you guys have to make up your own opinion. And for that, you should watch some YouTube videos. Now, okay, Agent Range has said, does she have support from any good elites? That's a really good question. From my research, I believe the only person that she is being supported by publicly is Nicki Minaj. But I think what's really interesting is, if you look at an interview way back when that Nicki Minaj did, she was asked, is there anyone you don't like in the industry? And Nicki Minaj said, there's two people that you don't F with. And it would ruin my career if I said who they were. And they were both male. And I thought, when I was watching that, I thought, to me, I was like, oh my goodness, is that Jay-Z and Diddy? Who knows? But yeah, I believe it's only Nicki Minaj. And I think it's really interesting, because if Rock Nation and Jay-Z and Desiree Perez are as powerful as I believe they are, then I can't see other people coming forwards to support Damore Hadley at all, because potentially by speaking out, anyone else is going up against multi-billion dollar conglomerates. It would be too risky. I think that Nicki Minaj is likely feisty. I love her personally, and I think she's probably at the point where she wants to speak her truth and what she's alleging, she wants out there. And perhaps she saw many parallels in Damore's story and her own. I don't know. Any others? Okay. Okay, that's a really interesting comment. So Zoe A43 says, I believe it's him and the people he's positioned around himself to exploit and oppress people the way that they have been doing. I think that's really interesting, and that's definitely an angle that I felt drawn to when I was doing my research. Okay, let's have a look through more. Think as well. So the question of, do you think Damore will, what she's alleged, do you think justice will be served for her? I don't know. I don't know, because I really had high hopes for the Diddy case, and I don't know why. I should have known that the justice system has failed too many women, and that money, power, and influence have been weaponized. But I really thought we were going to see justice for these people. And every part of Diddy's case, to me, just felt like a performance trial. It felt like clickbait. It didn't feel like it was actually doing anything of note. It didn't feel like it got to the truth. So I really don't know, but I do pray that Demore has, you know, justice does come good for her, because I believe that what she is alleging, I have no reason to doubt her whatsoever. So I'm just going through some of your questions. Anyone else want to ask a question on Jay-Z, Desiree? It's also interesting to note that Jay-Z's lawyer, I found this really interesting. So I found loads of quirky bits of information. So Jay-Z's lawyer is called Alex Spiro. Now, Alex Spiro also works with Elon Musk and many, many other people. He, I believe, did an internship at the CIA. I couldn't believe it. But Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, has the most unbelievable track record. I think it was Wikipedia I found it on. And truly, I've worked with lots of lawyers within media, because clients, when they get to a certain position, they will have a lawyer on speed dial to, you know, if perhaps a publicist can't stop a story, you then engage the lawyer and you get more heavy-handed, so to say. So I've worked with a lot of brilliant lawyers, but reading Alex Spiro's track record of cases dismissed, cases won, I've never, ever seen a CV like that. Absolutely incredible. So someone's saying, have you looked into how Rock Nation allegedly pays media platforms to either praise them and push their agenda, or to silence anyone exposing the truth, allegedly? That's a really interesting angle. And also, if you remember earlier in the show, I spoke about how some research I found was factually being reported on some media outlets, but some of the culture, hip hop and kind of cool outlets had been served legal notices where they'd said they'd been forced to, not forced, that's the wrong word. They'd been basically told they had to change the wording because they got it wrong. And I thought, that's very strange, because if you are going to the effort to get media outlets to change content, you would do all of them. You wouldn't just cherry pick them. I thought that was very strange. I have heard very, very consistent rumors of people alleging that Rock Nation do pay platforms to either praise or push their agenda. Obviously just allegedly, but I've also I know that they are serving people with legal letters within this case. And yeah, it's very chilling. It really is, because I feel like we should be able to hear from people. We shouldn't necessarily have someone that's gagged and removed from using the voice that they've been given. Let's have a look through these questions. Sorry, because I've been chattering away. I have not been starring them. So is Beyonce involved? I haven't found Beyonce in my research, and I've really been deep into this research. And I've also been following the Demore Hadley story for a long time. And truly, if I felt like she wasn't authentic and if I didn't believe her, I would not be using my show to amplify what I believe is her truth. And yeah, I just wouldn't be doing that. Okay. So someone says, Puffy and Jay are snakes in the grass. Never forget how Tupac felt about them both. It's not my opinion. That's just someone that sent a message. Let's have a look. Also, someone's mentioned about how is Jay-Z so powerful when he doesn't have a huge amount of social media followers. This is very interesting. So I think Jay-Z has, I think it's 1.8 million followers on X. And and his Instagram isn't particularly impressive. But this does not equate to power at all, and this is where I think we can lose our way a bit when we're trying to be critical thinkers and investigating something, because power is power and influence is invisible. You can't see it. You can't equate it to a certain number. It just doesn't work like that. And like I said, I truly believe Jay-Z is the most powerful man in the world. And when I said this to one of my friends, she absolutely didn't believe me. And then I explained how you can book someone onto the biggest show in the world. You've got your foot in the NFL. You're managing the careers of all of these people. Now, the mainstream media, we talked earlier about the mainstream media potentially, they might not want to annoy Desiree Perez as the CEO of Rock Nation or Jay-Z as the co-founder of Rock Nation. Because let's say I'm a journalist and I'm going to write this show up, for example, and put it, which is all factual. This is not, I have given you my opinion and I've clearly stated and labeled it as my opinion, but everything else is fact. And if I were to write this article up, and let's say I work for the Daily Mail Online, the Daily Mail Online, potentially, if they were to run that, they could be blacklisted from all of Rock Nation endeavors, everything they oversee. Now you're talking about Rihanna, Shakira, you're talking about Live Nation. So you're talking about sports, you're talking about fashion, that there is not an arena that they haven't built their business into. So if you're talking about the sway and the kind of like footing they have, it is so huge. Is someone like the Daily Mail going to run an article that, yeah, would do well, but it would get clicks? But is it going to be worth then? Potentially, you could be in a position where your whole media outlet is blacklisted from the biggest names in the world, the biggest live promoter in the world, all the sports figures. And what I thought was interesting from my research is, I don't know if anyone's familiar with MIA, the singer, who's absolutely amazing. But she was the first internet artist, and she really changed the game. Now, she was, I believe, signed to Rock Nation. And when she separated with her partner at the time, which he was a Bronfman, which we all know about that family, Jay-Z allegedly stopped returning her calls. And that's quite awkward when you're signed to a record label. MIA will tell her story much better than I could, but I think it's really important that you look into that, because what I took away from the research I did on MIA is that there was power, influence, and money weaponized against her. She went from literally inventing the game, the first internet artist, we had seen nothing like that, to ultimately not being called back by her record label. And I think, just to sidestep a moment, I've been in this world, okay? And I have seen powerful people pick up the phone. And whilst I'm not, saying anyone within this story has done that, just a personal anecdote from me, I have seen people do this. I've seen people pick up the phone to people that own media conglomerates, people that own the biggest businesses in the world, the top of the record labels, politicians. I've seen what happens. I've seen, this is an industry of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that absolutely is very true. So MIA's story also, rung very, very true. I believed every word of her story. I had no reason not to. And then also there's the Rita Ora story. So you might want to look into that. But I think Rita is from my research, she seems to be quite wary of saying things now. And I get it, you know, you when you're one artist and you're going up against a volcano of power, you are going to be really, really careful. So let's see. Any questions, guys? I'm just going down. Let's have a look. Sorry, I'm catching up on the questions. Yeah, someone said being a CEO comes with a huge amount of responsibility. It absolutely does. And I also think something that I found quite scary through my research is that I don't believe so these allegations, okay, what Demore is alleging, I don't believe someone just could switch that on and off. So you then are led to think, oh my word, is this how people operate in these corporations? I don't know. But it is, you know, really quite chilling. Let's have a look. So someone said, these celebrities and the wealthy now scare the hell out of me. Yeah, I hear you. But I also do think, truly, I think there is something changing. I think we have never been in a position where we are so freely exchanging information and self educating ourselves and not just being drawn to propaganda. And I think we know more now. We have so many clear examples where we have seen that people or how, you know, money, power, and influence by elites has been weaponized. And I think that only by talking about it and actually continuing to amplify this can we move forwards and change that power dynamic. And I do think we will, but it is going to take time. And that's why I really wanted to make this video, because Demore, her story just speaks directly to me, and I really think it will speak directly to you. So I just want to end by saying that this story is not about one family, okay, guys? This is about how money, influence, and corporate muscle can be weaponized, in my opinion. And I want to see if truth and civil rights can still prevail when those forces collide with it. I would just please ask you to watch Demore Hadley's interviews online, follow the Demore docket. I've never met Demore, okay? I've met Jay-Z, but I've never met Desiree Perez. And this story speaks to me, and I feel like it's such an important story. I can't imagine how Demore and her husband feel going up against all of the people that they've named. It's huge. And again, it's all on the Demore docket. But I would just urge you to keep going with any research with this. Don't just stop after this show. And I am truly so grateful for you all watching this story, because it's so important that, you know, we have looked together at the elites and the one percenters, and we have seen that it's not a fair justice system. The world isn't a fair place for you and me and people like Demore, in my opinion. And so I want this story back in people's minds. I want this story trending. I want more people to know about Demore Hadley, and I want people to make their own decision. I am not making this video for you to all say, I think Demore is right and Desiree is wrong. No, make your own opinions, and please do not anyone, you know, we don't want to troll. We don't want to do anything that, if you do believe Demore, we don't want to do anything that would hinder her case, because I have seen people have been served legal letters. There's so many wild motions going about. So just be smart, but I really, really want you to keep looking into this. And yeah, Follow me if you want any of the links. And thank you for your time tonight, because I know that everyone is busy, but this truly is a story that needs to be amplified. And so share, comment, like, send it, to people you know. And if you, like me, believe Demore, please, spread the word, follow the Demore docket, because we won't hear anything from Demore because she's been gagged. Okay? Thank you, guys. Are there any questions before we go? Let me have a look. Let's have a look. Okay. All good. These are really lovely comments, and thank you. Okay, someone said the USA media is scared to speak. This doesn't surprise me. You're never going to get the truth from the mainstream media, okay? So just remember, the mainstream media is a for-profit corporation. They have to play the game. I don't have to play the game with anyone, okay? I'm not in that industry anymore. I spent 20 years in it. I play the game with no one. Okay. Just seeing. Okay, so Interward said, thanks for your research. We'll follow that story for sure. Jay-Z has so many questions over his profile. Well, on that note, if you head over to Instagram, that is my main platform. My Instagram is at Lauren Kimberly Lunfarrow. I will put some resources together so you can go and do your own research and continue on this journey. And I look forward to hearing your opinions as to whether, like me, you believe Demore, or whether you also have questions and feel that what she's alleging may not be true. I'd like to hear it all. So thank you, guys, and see you later. Well, I'm trying to end the stream. Hang on, guys.